The night sky over Earth had changed. At first, it had been a subtle thing, a shimmering line across the moon's surface, like a hairline fracture in porcelain. Scientists scrambled for explanations: gravitational stresses, ancient impacts, tectonic shifts deep below the lunar crust. But within hours, the line widened. And then the moon cracked open. It wasn't an explosion. It was a careful, deliberate unfurling, as if the moon were a giant egg finally hatching after eons of slumber. Across the world, billions watched in stunned silence as colossal panels of ancient metal unfolded from within the moon's shell. They gleamed in the sun's light, vast, intricate structures of impossible scale and engineering. And from the moon's hollow heart, they emerged. Ships. Endless ships. Sleek, dagger-shaped vessels. Monolithic dreadnoughts. Swarms of agile fightercraft that moved like living beings. 1 billion ships, perfectly aligned, pouring out in synchronized waves like a silver river into the void. Humanity had always assumed that the moon was a dead rock, a relic of cosmic history. They had been wrong. So very wrong. Admiral Kira Holt stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital defense platform Sentinel-1, her jaw slack, unable to tear her gaze away from the spectacle. "Confirmed visual," she barked. Her voice cracked despite years of hardened service. "Are those ours?" Her chief analyst, a gaunt man named Patel, shook his head slowly. "Negative, Admiral. These signatures aren't in any Earth database. Power sources unknown. Materials unknown. Technology decades, maybe centuries ahead of anything we've ever seen." Holt turned back toward the massive viewport. The Armada stretched into the darkness, blotting out the stars. "Then what are they doing here?" she whispered. As if in answer, a deep resonance thrummed through every communication channel simultaneously. A voice, ancient, mechanical, yet somehow familiar, echoed across every device on Earth. "Protocol, homecoming initiated. Humanity, your inheritance awaits. Prepare for ascension." Across Earth, chaos reigned. Governments scrambled to respond. Militaries went on high alert. Religious leaders called it a divine revelation, and scientists frantically tried to make sense of the impossible. In the halls of power, debates raged. Were these ships a threat? A blessing? A trap? But amid the confusion, a handful of humanity's oldest records were dusted off. Legends, half-mad ancient texts, and cryptic archaeological finds that had always hinted at something more, at the idea that humanity's true origin was not entirely of Earth, that they were seeded, prepared, and one day called back. The ships began to move, not toward Earth in an attack, but into formation, spreading into the solar system with flawless precision. Defensive perimeters were established. Resource-gathering stations unfurled around asteroids and gas giants. Massive shipyards hidden dormant inside the moon for untold millennia began to pulse with new life. Humanity watched as their solar system transformed into a fortress. And at the center of it all, a single colossal ship, larger than any city on Earth, began its slow descent into high Earth orbit. It was then that the message came. A direct transmission. Not in words, but in pure thought, a connection felt by every human mind simultaneously. Your ancestors prepared this ark for the day when humanity would face extinction. That day approaches. Unite or be forgotten. Admiral Holt stood frozen as the meaning sank in. There was no enemy visible yet. No alien invaders at the doorstep. But the ark and the billions of ships had not awakened for nothing. Something was coming. Something so terrible that the ancient progenitors of humanity had hidden an entire armada inside their own moon, silently waiting across the ages for the time to act. "Get me the United Earth Command," Holt barked. "Now." The command center, exploded into motion. Diplomatic lines opened. Treaties were dusted off. Old rivalries were shoved aside under the sheer weight of what loomed overhead. 2 days later, Earth stood united for the first time in its bloody, fractured history. And none too soon, because on the fringes of the solar system, dark anomalies had begun to appear, rips in the fabric of space-time, vomiting forth vast biomechanical horrors unlike anything humanity had ever faced. They were coming, and they were hungry. But this time, Earth was not defenseless. Billions of ships, ancient and unstoppable, stirred to life under human command. New admirals rose from every nation, training aboard vessels built by the dreams of forgotten gods. Old grudges were buried under the banners of a single cause: survival. And as the enemy tore into the edge of the solar system, humanity's response was immediate and merciless. Missiles streaked across the void in blinding lances of light. Kinetic strikes shattered monstrous invaders into drifting, frozen remains. Plasma cannons, railguns, and particle lances lit up the darkness. In the heart of battle, Admiral Holt stood aboard her new flagship, the Ascendant Dawn, leading a force the likes of which the galaxy had never seen. They fought not for conquest, not for revenge, but because it was their birthright. As the first wave of horrors was obliterated and silence returned to the stars, Holt looked up toward the cracked remnants of the moon, still gleaming with hidden machinery and infinite promise. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. Now they had an armada. Now they had purpose. And this time, humanity would not just survive. They would dominate.